Episode 4 of Secret Garden is called The Wye Valley. And it's set in the Wye Valley in Wales. But yeah, this episode takes place in a kind of countryside garden again, as I say, in the Wye Valley in Wales, which was nice to get one outside of England. That's the rest of them have been there. And this one follows the garden of this husband and wife. The husband's a wildlife cameraman, and he was actually instrumental in the diaries. It just goes to show that even in the world of wildlife filmmaking, you can still work from home. And there's a lot of different types of animals in this garden. I'd say there's no clear protagonist in this one. There's no main character. There's loads of different storylines, more than there were in other episodes, I would say. Some of them get more time than others, for sure. We open up with dormice. There's dormice, which is really cool. That was one of the things I was looking forward to most, because you don't really see dormice that often in these things, and it's not an animal I see very often. We don't get them in Scotland, so it's always nice for me to see them. And to be honest, we didn't really get a lot of them. We saw it hibernating, and then we saw it milling about the garden looking for food. I'd say that was a little bit disappointing, because I was kind of hoping for more of them. We didn't really get that, but you know, that's the way it is. Other animals, we get the badgers. Badgers are another really iconic British animal, and the badgers were good as well. They don't really have an overarching storyline, I don't think. There was one young badger that's kind of, you know, shown to be really curious, but they're just kind of a presence in the garden throughout the thing. They're not particularly villainous, though they do kind of fill a more antagonistic role occasionally. They're just kind of there, milling about, you know, foraging, you know, doing the things that badgers usually do. The other animal that I didn't think we got a huge amount of time with, even though we did get a story, it was in Dippers. It was this pair, you know, looking after their chicks, foraging for them. One of the chicks fell out the nest into the water, but they're able to save it. And I didn't think there was a huge amount of threat there, because I was like, okay, it's a baby animal, it's probably not going to die. So surprise, surprise, it survived. But it was still good to see, because again, dippers, you don't see dippers very often. And dippers are pretty cool. They're, you know, the birds are, you know, are pretty iconic on British waterways. The two storylines that get the most screen time, I thought, were the tawny owl and the bumblebee. The bumblebees were really good, because you don't actually get that much in-depth stuff with bumblebees. You just kind of see them flying about the garden, and that's all fine. But this was actually really cool. You saw the sort of rise and fall of a dynasty in a way. It was this queen bumblebee. She's awakened. The footage of the bumblebees is very good. It's very good close-up macro footage. It's really good, really well filmed. And we see her building her colony. It's great. They talk about the ins and outs of that, and it's quite interesting how she releases all these pheromones that suppresses their desire to reproduce. I think that's something that we kind of take for granted, that only the queen reproduces, but I don't think most people really know the nature of that. So that was really cool that they highlighted that. You see the threats they face, the badgers, even people just playing in the garden. And then at the end, the bumblebee queen dies, and all her offspring are breeding, and ultimately that's the collapse of the colony. But she's already laid the next generation of queens, so you know, her legacy will continue. That was really good. I thought it was just a really good microcosm in this little bumblebee nest. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, I really like that, because you don't see it very often, and I wasn't really expecting bumblebees to be a main character in this episode, to be honest with you. So that was really cool. I'd say the most interesting part of the episode was the tawny owls, though. At first it looked like the tawny owls were going to be the main baddies of the episode. It looked like at the start the dormice were going to be the main characters, and you know, that didn't happen at all. The tawny owls were really good, though. You're basically following this pair are raising two chicks, which sounds a bit repetitive from stuff we've seen before, but it is more interesting. And they really talk about the rivalry between these two chicks. And the music's very ominous every time you see them in the nest. Is very good, it's very well done, because they talk about the same thing that happens in most birds, whereby one chick will outcompete the other, it'll generally get really strong, the other one will get weak, it probably won't survive, and the stronger one will live. They even highlighted how, in times where food is scarce, the stronger chick will actually eat the weaker one. I had heard of that before, but it's not something I'd ever seen before, and we didn't really see it here, to be fair. I didn't think they would show it, but it was really interesting that they even went there in any way. And the best part of the episode for me was at the end, where the stronger chick's getting out, he's ready to fledge, the younger one's really weak, it's just not making it, and hasn't even seen the sky in so long, because it's not been allowed out. In an attempt to get out to actually, you know, get some fresh air, it actually pushes its brother, the stronger chick, out the nest, and it's then got to get back up. And for a minute, I actually thought the stronger chick might die, especially there was a lot of footage of badgers going towards it, and I know the badger wasn't actually there, it was just, you know, spliced together, but I did feel like there was an impending threat, because even if a badger didn't get it, a cat or a fox certainly would. But the chick does get back to its parents, which is, you know, a little bit safe. But A, that is what happened in real life. And B, I did feel the peril, and I was really rooting for it to get back up. Although I will say at the end, they did say how the younger chick's now going to be a little better now, because it's seen the sky. I feel like that was really grasping at straws to have a happy ending. That younger chick is almost certainly going to die. It's still going to be outcompeted by his brother. So I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble on that. That was probably the best part of the episode for me. Other things, there was the usual kind of insect footage. That was alright. The stuff at the end with the decomposers was really interesting. Talking about woodlice, slugs, and most importantly, earthworms. The earthworm footage was great. There was a lot of close-up footage of earthworm heads, which I'd never seen before, and weirdly it didn't freak me out as much as the frogs did a few episodes ago. But I think they really did a good job of highlighting how important worms are for the soil. They did a really good job of that. So yeah, I really like that. And the diaries is also pretty good. Is the guy just filming stuff in his garden? That's, you know, fun. I bet it was fun for him. This episode is pretty good. It's a good episode. It's better than the last one, but I think it's not as good as the first two. And again, that's maybe a bit disappointing because the Y Valley is another one that's, pretty picturesque. Wasn't as interesting, but there was still good stuff in here. I think the issue with this one was more that there was so many storylines, but there was no defining main characters. I would say the bumblebees and the owls were definitely the best part, but things like the badgers were fine, but they didn't really have a clear narrative. The dippers were okay, but they weren't enough, and the dormice just were teased. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, what you think of this episode. Let me know, and yeah, I'll be doing the next one next week, which is the last one, and more importantly, it's set in Scotland, so looking forward to that. Better be good. And yeah, as ever, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't want to, it's perfectly fine. And I'll see you next time, and goodbye.